Hello. Trying to get this phone plugged in. Hello, hello. Try to get to some better lights. All right, guys. My name's Bobby, and I'm an ex-vegan. All right, guys. Any questions? Questions. Any vegans want to debate a carnivore? I'm here. Just got done eating an amazing meal at the Brazil Express Brazilian Steakhouse. Anybody? Questions? Anybody that want to debate? Want to talk cholesterol, LDL, HDL, triglycerides? I'm ready. Bring it. Bring it. Any vegans want to talk about how their diet is superior? I'm going to give it a few minutes, see if anybody has any questions, see if anybody wants to jump on, and then we'll go from there. I had a lovely top round, bottom round, sausages. I had mushrooms. I even had just a little bit of asparagus. I felt like just a little nibble, just a little taste. It was pretty good. But other than that, it was 95% meat, I would say, and no issues there at all. So today was a good day. I talked to about a dozen people in public about keto and carnivore. I talked to a couple nurses that two of them knew out of nursing school, and two of them previously in, or they have been nurses for a long time, and they basically all admitted that they are not taught about anything nutrition-wise. They admitted that they are basically indoctrinated to follow through a certain way, and even if you know better and can give advice, you cannot give advice as a nurse. You are to do what the doctor says and repeat what the doctor says. And even one of them went as far as saying, look, I'll just be completely open and honest with you. We're tired of what's going on in our medical facility, because the doctor will go into the room and sit down with a patient and spend 5 minutes with them, talking to them about everything that's going on, and will come out of the room and then hand us the paperwork and say, here, tell this to the person, give them these medications, I'm done. And then charge them $1,000 for their visit. So we don't even have an option to really say what we want to say sometimes, because the doctor sometimes tells us exactly what to say and what to do. So that was an interesting conversation today. It's sad that that goes on. It's sad that you go to school to learn something and be able to practice a profession, and you can't even do that openly because you're being told by the medical industry and the doctors exactly what they want done, because essentially they're kind of your boss, but they're not your boss. So it just all depends on the facility, who you work for, what you're doing, what the protocol is, and it's quite interesting. And whenever I was able to sit down with one of the doctors, she wanted to talk about cholesterol. I talked about cholesterol with her, and she said, well, you know, high cholesterol. I kept hearing this referenced over and over again. I said, wait a second, time out. You do understand that LDL and HDL are not cholesterol, right? And she said, well, yes, they are. I said, no, they're not. You have cholesterol, you have high-density lipoprotein, low-density lipoprotein, triglycerides. These are not all the same thing. And she said, well, nobody's ever really explained it to me that way. And I said, well, think about it. What does HDL mean? What does LDL mean? And one of them went as far as, two of them actually, did not know what they were. And they didn't properly know that LDL was a carrier for it. Cholesterol was the proponent for healing and the precursor to a lot of hormone function creation. And it's not the exact, what ends up happening is your HDL comes along after LDL's dropped off, and HDL will try to scrape off the surface of it. And there's two different ways this can be done. Either dumped back into the system and processed out, or if I remember correctly, dump back into a certain type of passage back to the liver, and some of it can be reused. I'm not saying exactly correctly how it's recycled, but that's the driver for it. Cholesterol is the driver, HDL is the cleanup agent, cholesterol is what repairs or creates functionality of a certain hormone. There's a number of things that can happen with it, but it is not. And a lot of people keep confusing this HDL, LDL, triglycerides. They wrap this up all into one thing and they say, okay, here it is. This is what cholesterol is. No, it is not. High cholesterol doesn't mean just to say I have high LDL does not mean I have high cholesterol. The number of cholesterol, because of how they figure total cholesterol, increases, but that is not the case when you actually look at it from a bigger picture. And then VLDL, very low density lipoprotein, especially in a fasted state. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is they let their doctor talk them into fasting labs, and they quit eating their meal at 8 o'clock at night, and when they wake up in the morning and then have their water, they are starving by the time they go to the clinic to actually get their labs done. And their body has detected this starving response, this emergency state, and it releases very low density lipoprotein, which triglyceride or your lipid panel numbers go up in response to that because of how it's released. And now it makes it look like you need a statin because you didn't prepare yourself ahead of time. If you follow the Feldman protocol, this is not exactly how it is, but if you prepare yourself days in advance before you go for the test, you get a more accurate measure on what's going on. In the Feldman protocol, just in a generic way of explaining it, and it's not the way of explaining it, there's a couple different types. You pre-fill yourself full of enough good healthy fats ahead of time, 3 days before. You almost double your intake if you can. This is just, again, a generic response for it. So your body has plenty of stored energy. So when you go into that fasted state the night of, and you fast from, say, 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is, and then you go to the doctor and you have your lipid panels checked, you're not just dumping very low density lipoprotein because you don't have enough fuel there for your body to be satiated for a longer period of time, and now your body has to release this excessive amount of VLDL, and now your lipid panels look bad, and the doctors want to put you on statins and stuff like that because of that. So following the Feldman protocol, I did it, and my labs were perfectly fine. And then after going keto, I just did regular eating keto and made sure a couple days before I just increased my fats a little bit, but did not follow the Feldman protocol to a T. And I still passed with flying colors. LDL 118, HDL like 58, triglycerides 58, somewhere in there, 60, and which I do know by the vegan standard or by the medical standard, anything over 70 is not safe, but we're not looking at LDL anymore. That number is basically thrown out the window. It can be used as a factor of trying to figure out what remnant cholesterol or something is, or your HDL to triglyceride numbers, but it is no longer that important. So if I look at my other numbers that are a better factor of what's going on, I fit in a healthy range. And then after going carnivore for an entire year, I went and had my lipid panel checked again, 2018. I put it up on the screen for you guys to see. My LDL went down even more, 108 or something like that. My HDL went up to 60 or 58, 60. And my triglycerides were down to 52. So now my remnant cholesterol score got better. My LDL score got better. My triglycerides got better. My total cholesterol got better. Everything got better. My C-reactive protein was less than 1, even lower on carnivore than keto. And my calcium plaque score was 0. So we are seeing a common trend here. My LDL is not increasing like everybody else's. My cholesterol levels are not increasing like everybody else's. I'm still overweight and I'm still healthy. That's why we need to stop looking at adipose tissue as the precursor to figure out what's wrong with this person. Why are they still overweight if everything's perfect? It's much more than that. You can have adipose tissue on your body for so long that you produce leptin signaling for so long that you... No. That was just a comical skit. So no. You can have adipose tissue on your body for so long that your body's producing excessive amounts of leptin and you end up becoming leptin resistant. So whenever you think that, or whenever your body would signal normally that it's full, you've created this resistance to it because you've had excessive amount of fats on your body for so long that now it can't even interpret leptin signaling at certain levels. Now you've become resistant. And when you become resistant to leptin, your leptin hormone, you overeat because you don't get that signaling anymore to, hey, cut it out, quit eating. Because you've been doing it for so long, now you're desensitized to it, just the same way that you would be desensitized to insulin and become insulin resistant. So the two hormones that play a big factor in that are ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone. When you're hungry, it's released. And it says, look, I need to eat right now. After you fill up a certain amount, leptin signaling is supposed to happen and say, okay, chill, dude. I have enough fat on my body right now. You've already eaten enough. Relax. Normally, that's about a 20-minute delay. So eating slower, paying more attention to your body, drinking a little bit of water before, actually getting some good minerals and stuff in, salting your food, maybe throwing a little light sprinkle of potassium on top of it. You might find that halfway through your meal, or 3/4 of the way through your meal, or even eating the full meal, by the time you're done, you're literally like, okay, ooh, wow, I've had enough. So learning how leptin and ghrelin work, and learning that you could be leptin resistant because you've been overweight so long you can't interpret that leptin signaling anymore, is very important. So I take somebody that has excessive amounts of adipose tissue all over their body. They're always releasing leptin because they have this excessive amount of fat everywhere. They've now become desensitized towards it, and now their body doesn't know how to interpret, okay, I've got enough energy here, I've got enough food in my body, the signaling is out of control, I'm just not interpreting it. So what am I doing? I'm still eating. I'm still thinking that I'm not full yet, when ghrelin is the hormone that's supposed to be causing that. You know, a lot of people may think on a ketogenic diet or a carnivorous diet, I'm eating so much healthy fat, so much good quality protein, that maybe I'm becoming ghrelin resistant because I'm never hungry. That's not necessarily the case. It's because you're eating such good quality, satiating food that ghrelin never really has a reason to be high or release. So that same feeling that how low blood sugar is too low. I tell people at work I'm fasting and it's been 20 plus hours and they freak out and say my sugar is going to drop, but I feel fine. So what they don't get about it is the fact that there's a lot of times your sugar will be extremely low, but it's replaced with ketones. So before, when your sugar was 100, 110, 120, 140, 150 all the time from eating 5 to 6 times throughout the day, no ketone production, that would have been normal for you because you're eating often throughout the day, blood sugar constantly raised, and no ketone production at all. Once you went to a ketogenic diet, I'm saying it's normal in that state, but it's not normal to do that. Once you went to a ketogenic diet or a carnivorous diet, you've now flip-flopped that. Your ketones are on top. You've got 1.0 millimolar, 1.5, 2.0, 2.5, some people, and blood sugar really low. You know, not really low, but 85, 90, 95, somewhere in there, maybe even up to 100. You've replaced blood sugar with now ketone, which is normal. But then when you fast, you're doing the same exact thing. Think about it. I've cleared my body stores out. I've cleared my liver stores out. I've cleared my glycogen stores from my muscles out. My pancreas has released its last-ditch effort of glucagon, so now there's no more energy there. So I've cleared blood, muscle, and pancreas, and now I'm sustaining levels. So what ends up happening is, here's my theory. I'll leave my theory for the end, but I'll tell you what happens. You drop your blood sugar so low, your body has no other option but to start pulling fat. So it starts pulling saturated fat from your body. And I'm going to go into that as well, why I call body fat saturated fat, because it is saturated fat. It starts pulling fat from your body, and it uses the glycerol backbone to create ketones. So your liver goes through this transformation process with the glycerol backbone of fat, and it creates enough sugar to feed your organs and your brain to keep it healthy and functioning fine. So, with that being said, you're replacing your glucose that's dropped down 70, 60. I've seen people down 55 still fasting for long periods of time, but their ketones up 2.5, 2.0, 3.0. You're replacing the blood sugar with a different fuel source now. You can't keep the blood sugar up enough, but your body's going to say, let's just go ahead and start jacking up ketones right now because this dude's not feeding me. And if I don't have blood sugar to feed off of, I got to get those ketones up. I got to start processing this fat. Well, now you flip-flopped it. You've created a new fuel source. So yes, medical standards may say anything less than 70 is dangerous, but we know on a ketogenic diet that it's not uncommon, especially during fasting, to drop down in the 60s. I've even been down to 58. I've never been below that, but I've seen other people that are very lean drop down to 55. But they're trying to cut, and they're doing it smart, and they're monitoring the blood glucose, but their ketones are staying high, and they just monitor via scanning, via MAR trackers and stuff like that, how they're doing, and they can still do it. I mean, when I say very lean, I mean 15% body fat, 12% body fat, like a normal lean kind of deal. Anything for 10% and below, I don't recommend. How you doing? I don't recommend people doing that. But so, say we're at this level of fasting, and I've had people tell me, "Oh my God, you're telling me your blood sugar is 65." Yeah, but my ketone levels are 2.4, 2.5, 3.0. This is normal to have ketones high and blood sugar low during fasting. This is a very normal response. It's a very appropriate response. Now, if we went the other way around and we had, 6.0 millimolar ketones, we had 140 blood glucose, okay, now we're talking we're going to have some issues here. But if because now we're inducing a state of ketoacidosis, and that may not be the exact number for acidosis, but you'll find that when ketones clearly get high, and it's a high number of ketones. I've seen people have high blood sugar. And when I say high blood sugar, I mean 110, 120, 130, and be at 2.5 millimolar ketones because they're trying to work on metabolic conditions and be completely fine. It's when you start getting into those numbers that are super high, off the chart kind of ketones, like 6.0, 7.0, or something like that, you've really got some problems now. And you're talking about dangerous problems. And I don't know what the exact number is with ketones when it comes to that, but it's up there. I've seen people function perfectly fine on ketone levels that are, 2.0, but have blood glucose 110, 120, 130. It's because they're still healing. They're learning this process. But yes, I mean, and so what did you just say? I've been having my glucose spiked over 200 after 10 hours of fasting now. I don't know why. It used to stay 80 for 3 days. I mean, you might be going through some transitional changes too. Like me, this is what I was going to get to. My experience with fasting is my glucose used to drop down into the 60s. I mean, it's not necessary to measure your ketones, but I would definitely do it. I would get just a basic keto mojo meter. You don't have to. Or a keto coach. There's a new meter out by Keto Coach or Precision Extra. I think Keto Coach and Keto Mojo are the most affordable meters on the market right now. Precision Extra charges like double for the strips. So, Frugal, let's talk about me and my last time I fasted for 5 days. My body has learned to adapt to the ketogenic carnivorous fasting lifestyle so well now. Normally when I fast for 3 days plus, my blood sugar's down in the 60s the whole entire time, and my ketones are up 2.0, 2.5, 3.0, somewhere in there. I mean, I'm dropping blood sugar crazy, and I'm really bringing my ketone levels up high. But I've been doing it so long now that my body is not doing that anymore. My body is regulating itself. Somehow, I just did a 5-day fast, and I tracked every single day for you guys, having nothing but water, salt, and potassium. My blood sugar stayed in the 80s every single day, and my ketones never went over 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, maybe I think 1.7 one day. My body has learned to regulate itself in this fasting adapted state. To now, I can fast for long periods of time, and my blood sugar does not drop down that low anymore. It's used to being in a production of ketones and having low blood sugar that has learned to sustain certain levels for long periods of time. But I've been doing this for 3 years now. I mean, 3 years consistently. I've been doing it longer than that, but consistently 3 years. And I'm seeing blood sugar levels that aren't coming out of the 80s at all, unless I'm super 5 days plus fasted. So that's my benefit to it. When we look at there was another thought that I lost, and this is why I start. Let me see. There was somebody made a comment here. Blood sugar is too low. 20 hours fasted, freak out. So I wanted to comment on something else, and it was important that I was going to comment on it. Now I've kind of lost it, because you get rolling and something pops up, and then you talk about it, and by the time you're done talking about it, you done forgot what else you wanted to talk about. What was the other thing I wanted to talk about? We talked about, tonight I had a conversation with a nurse talking about vitamin C. That was one topic that we talked about, because she was like, well, how come carnivores don't get scurvy? And when Dr. Paul Saladino was on my keto group, I let him come talk to my keto group, and I was asking questions through the chat box. I think maybe it's causing an insulin spike while fasting. And the liver starts making more sugar to keep the glucose from dipping. I don't know about that. I mean, I would monitor that more, but I don't think that would be the case. I mean, that's even one of the things that Dr. Berg talks about. And as much as I don't like to reference things that he says because of his recommendations, that's one of the things that he's even said during his studies and people fasting. Diet sodas don't really have that impact on people, and sometimes it can actually allow them to fast longer, because the aspartame that's in the diet sodas, or Zevia or something like that, don't have an effect on insulin or blood sugar. So it allows them to stay in that fasted state because you don't have that response. It's just, I think there's always going to be some kind of response, but it's not to the level that people make it out to be. It might be a small, unmanageable, or an unmeasurable amount. What we were talking vitamin C tonight, and she asked me, she says, so on a carnivore diet, you're not worried about scurvy? And it's absolutely not. And when I was talking to Dr. Paul Saladino, I brought up some good points before he even really started coming out with these new videos, these carnivore videos and stuff like that. And I hope that it gave him some food for thought while talking about it. I said, you know, the way I see it is your gut transporters that transport glucose and vitamin C don't have a chance to compete with each other anymore, because you've dropped your glucose so low, and you're on such a low glycemic anti-inflammatory diet, that even trace amounts of vitamin C become just as sustainable as high levels of vitamin C like you had before. So with there being no competition, vitamin C has no reason to compete with anything now. So the ship comes in, and it docks, and it goes to pick up what would be glucose and vitamin C. There's no glucose there anymore. So even trace levels of vitamin C can jump on the ship and get transported throughout the body to support the strength of the capillaries, the immune system, things of this nature. So when you wrap your mind around not having a battle constantly going on, the person that used to be the enemy to glucose can now just walk across the land freely. I can invade multiple territories. I don't have no resistance. There's nobody fighting me anymore. I can just take all this land. That's kind of how I look at vitamin C. When you don't have sugar to compete with, vitamin C in very, very low traces amount now act like regular daily allowance, or recommended daily allowances of vitamin C in a trace-like fashion, because there's no glucose to compete with. Sugar's always low, so it can just jump on the transporters efficiently with no problem at all. And when you have trace amounts of vitamin C, everything's strengthened just fine. Your immune system stays fine. The glucose stays low. There's no reason, there's nothing to feed candida and things like this. Yeast infections, things of this nature. So vitamin C in trace amounts is very doable. And with me, when I first started carnivore, it took me a little bit to be adapted, because my body was trying to learn how to use trace amounts of vitamin C. And the first month and a half, I would bruise very easy. And I'm not talking about easy like the normal person, like just bump into something kind of deal. That's not the case. Before, I could go to the gym and throw weights around like a madman, drop the weights, slam the weights down on the rack. If I was on a bench press and I was trying to go for a max out set and I had to dump the weights, I'd dump them at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I just roll to the side and let the weights come off the bar or something like that. I've had to do that often, pushing to failure, and the bar come down and hit me in the shoulder or something like that. I'm talking about really hitting myself. I would bruise where before I would not bruise. And that's because in the beginning, my body didn't have a chance to learn what was going on with vitamin C, and there not being glucose there anymore, and trying to regulate and change my blood sugar constantly. Eventually, after a 1.5 to 2 month period, that went away, and I was completely fine. the bruising quit. I even made excuses for it and saying that it's because of vitamin C, it's because of vitamin C. And I just didn't give myself enough time to adjust to the circumstances. And by the end of the second month, I was completely fine, having no more bruising, and my body was okay. So now when I made that video, I often, you know, throughout the month have to go back and explain to people I was wrong. I made this video just to let people know my symptoms and stuff and just keep them updated on my journey. But I quit, you know, worrying about vitamin C. I quit worrying about maybe increasing a little carbs or something like that. And I just kept it straight carnivore, and my body reset and was able to adjust perfectly fine with no issues at all. So yes, frugal, you're right. Without sugar, you do not need as much vitamin C. You can go off almost nothing and be completely fine. And what else did we talk about tonight? We talked about vitamin B12 and how vegans think it comes from the microbes or something in the dirt and in conversion, and then animals eat the dirt in the grass. And I picture vegans taking handfuls of dirt and putting it in their mouth and chewing on it so they can get the microbes or whatever they call it that converts inside the body and turns into B12 because of Michael McDougal Fart Face Davis or whatever his name is. Talked about that. I talked tonight a little bit about the conversions that have to happen by getting retinol or vitamin A from plants that have to go through multiple stage conversion just to get to a bioavailable form of vitamin A, where in animal products that doesn't have to happen. You can eat animal products and it's already bioavailable. Just natural processing, breakdown of it. Let's see. Tonight, another thing that I covered in the conversation was hydrating before you eat a fatty meal with muscle product, so animal product. So by hydrating before and drinking water before a meal that has plenty of food, you dilute the acidity in your stomach, and you actually make it harder, and it takes longer for your stomach to digest the foods that you're eating. Where if you just go ahead and eat your food, at least your meat first, and give it a chance to act with all that stuff, and then hydrate later, it's going to be easier for your body to process those things. A lot of people like to drink glasses of water, thinking the old weight loss recommendation of drinking more water before you eat is going to cause you to be fuller and eat less, but it's going to be harder for you to digest your food because now you're diluting the acid that's in your stomach. So that's another thing that I covered tonight, the natural acidity of our stomach. My sister has done keto for 3 months or so and has developed an autoimmune disease that is breaking down her muscles now and can barely walk. Her creatinine was over 8,000. Doc put her on steroids. I'm wondering if that autoimmune condition that she's responding to is not something that was released from, like, maybe toxin or bacteria or something that was stored in the fat, and as she's losing weight, released into the body, and it's something that could have been reintroduced or made worse or exasperated by the fact that she's losing all the fat. I can't say that I've ever heard keto cause an autoimmune condition because I have not. And to say that creatinine levels are elevated because of keto, I would say that it could be. I'm wondering if it's because of the excessive amounts of protein. Maybe her protein to fat ratios weren't right. Is the creatinine directly related to the autoimmune condition? I'm trying to think of different things that could be a possibility. I know people often get sick and things do arouse, especially when they start losing big amounts of fat, 10, 15 pounds a month. There's a lot of toxin release there. There's a lot of skin breakouts and stuff that happen there. There's a lot of stuff that's stored toxically in your body that can be reintroduced into your body, and you can get sick multiple times while you're going through fat loss stages. So I think what you're explaining is exactly that. I'm thinking that dermis is what they diagnosed it as. She lost 35 pounds so far. She was very out of control, diabetic before keto with severe fatty liver disease. I'm thinking it's a condition of what she's been dealing with that's causing some of these reactions. But doctors often like to diagnose something as this is what it is when it's not really what it is. So they told me that I had a condition of, and this is not to avoid your question, just to add emphasis to what I'm saying. They told me that I had some kind of colitis, diverticulitis, or something like that, and that's what they diagnosed it as because they couldn't figure out exactly what it was. But when I started bringing up what I had dealt with in Iraq and the situations that I was dealing with and what caused the blood out of my mouth and out of my backside and almost killed me, a mobile dysentery, they started realizing what they were after. It was not diverticulitis, and it was not colitis or anything like that, or Crohn's. It was a dysentery type bacterial infection that can stay in your system for long periods of time. What do you say? Well, what's your channel about? Tell me what your channel about, and then I'll see if I would recommend people subscribe to it. I don't even know who you are. High creatinine levels could indicate something wrong. Not right with the kid. Right, that's what I'm saying. Something could be wrong with what she was already dealing with, creatine-wise, because it's showing here fatty liver, diabetic, probably just like my father, fatty liver, diabetic, problems with the kidneys. What about bleeding gums? It happened once, no cavities, and brush each day. You know, it could be somewhat of a vitamin C deficiency. Chances are, that's not the case. If it happened once and then it's gone, I don't know that I would be too worried about it. But what I would recommend is that if it happens again, you definitely get vitamin C levels checked. One time and done, you can't really go off that. You can't really say what it was at that case. I mean, there's probably a number of things that could have made it happen one time. Was it all the gums? Was it just one particular spot? I mean, there are different scenarios here that we could look at. But just as an outfit, they did kidney tests and said they were just working fine. Just because muscle breaking down. It is just muscles breaking down that cause it to go high. She is falling, can't do stairs, etc. Yeah, but I mean, are you sure that it's keto that's doing this? I mean, it sounds like she had a slew of, maybe that's not what you're saying, and that's what I'm just interpreting it as. But it sounds like she had a slew of problems before she even came to a ketogenic diet, and now that she's on a ketogenic diet, there could be things that they're being exasperated by it. Maybe there's some kind of healing that she's trying to go through right now. I mean, you don't know. You have to find a keto doctor that can study this stuff, and that can look at her and they can monitor her. Unfortunately, they're just not around every corner though, so that's a big deal as well. I stopped supplementing, just to let you guys know, I stopped supplementing vitamin K2, vitamin D3, and omega-3 about 6 weeks ago, thinking that I would have problems doing it, and I have had no problems at all. I thought that I would feel bad like I did before when I quit taking them on keto, and I felt bad. But now that I'm carnivore, and I've been doing this for almost a year and a half now, I do not feel bad. I quit taking them and I feel no difference. So I'm going to get those labs checked, not taking them again. I think keto is starting to heal things personally, and probably has a bad leaky gut. I keep telling her to give it time. Well, that's what she needs to do. I mean, that's what it sounds like she needs to do. She needs to let it work and heal, and it sounds like that's what it's doing. But I'm not her doctor. Between 2 molars, not eating at the right time, just tasted blood, totally random. I don't know. It what were you eating at the time? Are you sure something didn't get down underneath the tooth and happen? I mean, I don't... You'd have to go actually take a look. You'd have to actually go take a look and see what was exactly going on with that situation. Could it be that that it was a sensitive spot? Could it be, oh, not eating? Let's see here. Not eating at the right time and just started to taste. I don't know, man. I don't really know with that situation. That's kind of odd for you to just have bleeding gums out of nowhere. And it was only one time. If it hasn't happened in a while, I would say there's nothing to worry about. I mean, who knows what it could have been? Just for no reason. I mean, if it's not happening now and you feel fine and your teeth have color to them and they're not clear like, if you don't feel any sensitivities and stuff, like I can tell you right now, I used to have problems with these jacked up front teeth, and they used to be super sensitive. So when I bite into stuff cold, they would be like on fire almost. Like I could not stand it. Now I have no problems with my teeth at all. Last year I went to the dentist, and I know this is gross, guys, but I just want to be completely open and honest with you. I do stuff sometimes that's kind of disgusting because I want to see how far I can push it. Sometimes I eat disgusting stuff. Sometimes I'll eat, like, you know, lamb heart or something like that. Like that's going to be one of my next experiments, is I want to eat lamb heart raw, and I want to see what it tastes like. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm kind of like my own biohacking guy. That's just kind of what I do sometimes. And I'm not turning into another Svetiage or, you know, Luke Miller or something like that. I am my own person, but I want to try it. I want to see what it tastes like. I've never seen somebody with a lamb heart in their hand just eat the thing raw. And I just think that would be pretty badass and disgusting at the same time, so I want to do it. And I found a supermarket here that has them fresh. What I find is, this is what happened last year. I went on an experiment. 30 days before I went to the dentist, I quit brushing my teeth completely. For 30 days straight, I never put a toothbrush to my teeth or toothpaste or mouthwash or anything like that. I went to my dentist, and my dentist was like, are you still eating keto? I said, no, I'm not. I'm eating carnivore now. I'm still in ketosis. He said, man, your teeth, they've got some excessive yellowness to them, you know, a little bit more than normal, but there's no plaquing anymore like normal. Your pockets aren't all plugged up with plaque like it normally is. What's going on? I said, nothing. I just eat plenty of, you know, good quality red meat and fish and beef and liver and kidney and all this other stuff. And I just 30 days from coming in here, I had no carbs, no eggs, no nothing, just meat, water, and salt, and had plenty of it, and organs. And my dentist was like, wow, this is going to be done. So 30 minutes, cleaned everything, kind of picked around, checked pockets, typed the numbers in on the screen that's kind of up by their head. And every one of my numbers were like 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0 across the chart. And the deep pockets in the back, normally they're rated at a 4 or 5 because they're so deep, they get plugged up with stuff. They were 2s. Normally they're 4 and 5. And I was like, holy crap, what's going on here? There was like no like contamination or plaquing or anything around my teeth at all. So my dentist was super like excited about it because he said, I've never seen something like this with somebody not trying to protect themselves like you did. And I said, well, think about all these people that like ate tons of meat back in the day that, you know, like the Inuit, when they look at their teeth and stuff now, they had really good quality teeth. They had the right substance there to support good health. And my dentist was super surprised. I said, no, I don't eat any carbs. I don't eat any sugar, no starches, no nothing. And he said, never? And at the time it was no, I never eat that stuff. I just choose not to ever eat that stuff because at the time I could not control myself. But now I've learned over the last 6 months that I have that control now. I can clearly go out one weekend with the family and just eat whatever kind of trash that I want. You know, Chinese, dim sum, something. I love dim sum. And when we go out as a family and we're going out to dim sum and they're bringing all these different types of foods and stuff to them, I'm not eating keto and I'm definitely not eating no damn carnivore. I'm eating dim sum, whatever the hell I want, right there at the table with the family, partaking in the events. I'll be the first person to say, That's me. I cheated. I made an adult decision, and I will keep making that decision when we go out because I will not give that up. But then I go back into the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks of back on carnivore and back on keto. I've learned that control now. I'm not that type of person that roller coasters out of control. With that being said, I'm still experiencing the same health results by using this metabolic flexibility to go keto sometimes, eat out with my family sometimes, whatever it is, even just go out myself, movie theater, some popcorn or something like that, and then right back to carnivore for long, long periods of time. I've learned that this is sustainable for me. 2, 3, 4 months of nothing but carnivore, and then if I want to go see a big movie that's coming out, like Shazam or something like that. That's right. Once you learn to control yourself, once you learn that you have control over those reactions, those responses, the hormone release, the things, the cravings and stuff in your body, you're completely fine at making adult decisions outside of keto and carnivore. My biggest problem right now is people that try to tell you you are something that you're not, or you're something that you're not, or they try to tell you you're wrong or you're right or any of this other stuff. It's like, dude, chill. You don't write the Bible for carnivore. You don't write the Bible for keto. It's my adult life. I don't teach new people to do this. I teach them very structured, very clean. And then down the road, they naturally figure out what they can do on their own, just like me and you do. Just like all these vegans like Durian Ryder that are actually eating fish and eggs and stuff behind the scene. And then they talk on screen like they're the perfect, most Bible-following vegan that there is out there. It's not true. Not true at all. If any of you caught the latest Tristan, Drew Morgan, and Durian Ryder interview, you would know that Durian Ryder skipped over his words so much that he clearly did not understand, or he clearly was lying about half the things that he was talking about. When he talked about eating meat out of the garbage can would be okay because you're not promoting the producing of meat by buying meat, that would be okay. Okay, so you're telling me that if I went and dug in a garbage can for meat for my cat, my dog, for myself, because somebody bought that and threw it away, it's okay for me to go in there and eat it and eat an animal product because that's ethical and that's part of your ideology. If I don't buy it, it's okay because I'm not promoting it. So if I went to the store and I bought a pack of liver and I said, you know what, I really don't feel like eating that right now and it's going to go bad. Hey, Frugal, you can have this pack of liver. Because he received it and did not pay for it, I was going to throw it in the trash anyway. It's okay. Because he's not promoting an animal product. It's the same damn thing. I could have threw it in the garbage and he could have found it and pulled it out, but he said that's okay because you're not promoting. Yeah, of course it's better to raise your own animals and use the entire animal, but there are people that are not going to do that. And we don't live in an area that is consistently sustainable for us to do that, though. There are grazing lands, and there are farming lands. And certain people live on lands that need animals on them to keep them cleaned up all the time, and to stop overgrowth and erosion and all these other things. And there are people that actually have land that's fertile enough naturally to farm, and we're seeing that, and we know that there has to be a balance. Why do you think most farmers have a mixture of animals and farmland together? What about the most recent farm I went to, all grass-fed? They have animals and farmland that they farm. The two of them go together. They use the manure. It's a very high-quality compost manure mixture that they put on their lands that helps it's organic, all grass-fed manure. And it goes right back into their land, so they grow their own corn, their own wheat, their own soy and stuff like that. That's not grown in toxic material and stuff. So if you get to a point where you're doing all of your own things, sure. I mean, I could stand behind that 100%. But when I look at somebody like Durian Ryder that runs his damn trap all the time, and he tries to get everybody excited, And he basically openly admits in so many ways that he just does the stuff to get a rouse out of people. And he actually, you can tell just by the way he talks, he wants to just come out and say, yeah, I eat fish behind the scenes. I eat eggs behind the scenes. Did you guys see that meme I put up? The vegan meal. This is vegans on social media. This is what we eat. And then I put after that, ... I got you, sucker. And then there was another one that had eggs and cheese and fish on it with vegetables and stuff. This is what actually really happens. That's Durian Rider. To a T. But he only eats vegan products. I'm going to take the page out of Bobby's book on that and say, okay, guys, bullshit. So, you know, there's, look at all this. There was another vegan that popped up today, a small channel vegan that actually came out and said, I forget the guy's name. He's small. He only had like 1,700 people or something like that. And his content wasn't really that great anyway, but he came out and said, look, I can't sustain this anymore. I was curious because of what everybody else was doing. I tried some fish and eggs, and it's the easiest coming off of a vegan diet. It's a soft product. The body digests it very well. Very good omega-3s, and I'm happy with it. And because I've done this and I feel better, I can't negate how my body feels. I'm responding in a way that my body's telling me this feels good. This feels natural. This feels healthy. How can I deny that? And when the question was asked to Durian Rider by Tristan, although they were picking at each other a little bit, Tristan clearly came out and said, if you had a choice, if it was life or death, and you had to give up being vegan and eating some animal product to live, would you do it? His response was absolutely yes. I would not give up my life for an animal. I would have to save my life. That should be what every damn one of them are doing. Look at the ones that, the majority of them have not sustained it for a long time. The majority of them have not been living 20 plus years, 15 plus years, 10 plus years on a vegan diet. The ones that have made it at most 5 or 6 years already look like they're dying. They already look like they're having deficiencies. The white skin, the pale, like the slimy, almost green looking yellowish skin, the really puffy, great looking body, but when you zoom in and you look close, it almost looks like you can take your fingers and squish right through their skin. The puffiness all over the place. The breaking out around the lips and stuff like that, and the white skin everywhere else. You zoom in close and you see all the bumps and stuff around the ears and target areas and stuff like that, around the collarbone or something. I've seen this multiple times. Luke Miller's pointed it out. Bobby's pointed it out. Carnivore's pointed it out. People have pointed this out. And I didn't pay attention to it at first until I started going through and I actually started looking. These guys are right. I didn't even notice this stuff before. If you look at Luke Miller's a friend of mine. He's a vegan. He's been on my keto groups for a while, just like Bart K. He's been on my keto groups from like the beginning, and me and him have been friends for a long time. When you look at what these people are talking about, now it becomes apparent almost at every single one of them when you look. But if you just look at them normal on screen and you're like, you know, these people are using, you know, the right lighting, the right angles, the right filters, the right cameras and stuff, everything looks fine. One of the most sickly and disgusting looking vegans that I see on the channel, and this is not to talk crap, but I'm seriously concerned, Mick the Vegan. Mick the Vegan looks like a walking ghost skeleton bone bag. It looks like somebody took a white sheet and threw it over a body of bones. His skin is so white and it's so pale. He's got no color to him at all. When his beard was shorter, you could almost see the red and stuff around the lips. And I'm like, how is this healthy? Why is it so hard for them? Why do they have to eat so much food throughout the day to sustain the calorie count, the vitamins that they need? Why are they having to supplement so much? There's a number of things that's going on here. A number of things. But we can't say anything to them because now all of a sudden we're being dogmatic and we're telling them what they're doing, and that's not what we should be doing. But they turn around and do the same thing to us, and it becomes ethics and ideology at that point instead of about science and health. The problem that we have is we're driven by a society of people that don't care about anything else. They care about instant gratification, save the animals, don't hurt my feelings, Today I want to be an attack helicopter. Tomorrow I want to be a pine tree. The next day I want to be a peacock. The next day I want to be a boy. Then I want to be a girl, and then I want to be an it. And then I want to go back to being a pat, and then I want to be back to an attack helicopter again. We're all over the place. We don't even know when we're coming or going. We've given up on people unless they're cult-like in our own kind. We focus on our little groups, and that's as far as it goes. And as long as we have members that fit in our little group, we feel satisfied. You know, that's why I've started stepping away from a lot of the carnivore people, the vegan people, the vegetarian people, the big doctor names and stuff like that online, because I don't want to feel like I'm part of any kind of group. I want to feel like I'm my own person that's networking with people, doing my own thing, that doesn't necessarily believe 100% what they believe. I think it's healthy to be diverse and not believe exactly what the next person believes in. There's just so much going on right now. And then one of the things that we should be covering that we don't cover is Nebraska. Look at Nebraska right now, all the beef that we lost. Over $1.3 billion worth of beef. Farmers were saying because of the flooding that's going on and all the rain that we've been getting, the rivers rose. It broke the ice, the stuff that was still frozen up north. Levees broke. They were saying they were seeing chunks of ice the size of cars a foot deep plus, sweeping their lands, crashing into their cattle, breaking the legs, snapping their necks and stuff like that. And we're dealing with all this Iowa and Nebraska flooding that a lot of our corn comes from, our wheat comes from, our soy comes from, our cattle comes from. And they use a lot of that feed to help raise some of these that are not grass-fed. There's a lot of people that won't come back from this. There's a lot of people that are devastated by this. Over $1 billion in damages. As a master gardener, and I didn't get into master gardening or whatever so I could plant plants. I got into master gardening so I could look at soil types, reconstruct people's gardening around their homes, look at landscapes so I can make money and say, hey, look, that tree is too close to your house and it's too tall, so it's making your house look small. These types of things, because I wanted an extra credential to have a career path. I know what it takes to have an excavation team come in and rework that whole entire land. These people are going to spend millions and millions, if not billions of dollars, having the land reconstructed, having all of the sand and soil types and stuff, or they're going to have to bring in loads and loads of dirt and other place and have it all reworked just so they can grow crops and farms on this land. Social media doesn't want to talk about that, though. We don't give a crap about that because that's small town USA. Nobody wants to bring that up. But we'll talk about Donald Trump's tweets and Jesse Smollett, the guy from Empire that wanted to create all these lies and pay these people to do this racial prejudice, gender bias attack on him. And we want to put all that stuff on social media because that's what we're focused on. We're focused on drama, social media, TV shows, celebrities, who's the next rising star. Small town USA doesn't get the coverage that it needs. We have people that died. There was a farmer that reported the flood was coming in. It was me saving my 30 head of cattle that was out in my field, or going next door and trying to save my neighbors because they were about to lose everything. They were about to lose their lives. So I went over, had to leave my cattle, and went and tried to save my neighbors' lives to get their human lives out of harm's way. And by the time I could get back to my property to focus on what was going on my property, I lost all 30 head of my cattle. Dead. And could not get to them. I mean, we won't focus on that. And this has been going on since March 19th. How many times have you seen somebody post this on social media? How many times have you seen our government post stuff on social media about drama, but they won't focus on what's actually going on in small town USA? It doesn't sell. It doesn't bring in views. And they're not interested in that. Beef is going to go up substantially. This is what they're projecting over the next couple months. The flooding is not anywhere near being done. We're talking 4 to 6 weeks from now, possible still flooding, if not worse. More heavy rains and stuff coming in. 10 to 20 feet of snow still on the ground up north. It's going to be melting, coming down these rivers that are already flooded. Areas that were at 10 to 15 feet are down at 4 feet now, still flooded in certain areas. but projected go back up to over 10 feet in the next couple months. We don't talk about this stuff. We want the gossip and the drama. That's what we want. And I wish I was better off. I wish I could take off a week and just go help these people as much as I possibly could. But a lot of them are blaming it on the Army Corps of Engineers. So we've got a lot going on in the world, and there's a lot of us that don't even know how to take it. I wish more people would see things like I did and start holding the government accountable and retweeting stuff. Yeah, exactly. If you don't talk about it, it didn't happen. That's exactly what I was talking about the other day when I was live, and I was saying that when you don't talk about things, people forget about it, and when people forget about it, they forget how to act a certain way. That was the thing that Morgan Freeman brought up in his interview with the Jewish guy from 2020 when he asked him, if you guys didn't catch my analogy of that, what do you think about Black History Month? The Jewish guy asked him, and Morgan Freeman replied with, what do you think about Jewish History Month? And the guy, or White History Month, and the guy said, well, there's no such thing as White History Month. And then Morgan Freeman turned around and said, then why do I need a Black History Month? I'm an American just like you. What happened in the past. Let's move on. We all have the opportunity to succeed now. If you don't talk about it, it'll go away. It'll be like as if it didn't happen. The problem is, people like to incite drama. They like to keep bringing it up. They want to talk about it. They want people to know about it. And they want to make it seem like it's still happening today. So now, in social media's eyes, it almost seems as if it's still happening today because of the drama that's brought up constantly on social media instead of the stuff that actually needs to be brought up. I think that was a very good, very valid point by him. There is a lot of truth to that. Do I agree with it 100%? No. But I don't think we should forget, but I also don't think that we should be inciting and bringing up as much drama as we do. I think we should be focusing on the quality of people's health, our medical system, and fixing that. I had a conversation with a doctor from the UK last year before I moved down to Louisiana from Chicago. I'm back now. I was doing Uber, and I picked up a doctor from the airport, and I was supposed to take him to this big medical convention. Yeah, you're right. Like I said, I don't agree with what he said completely, but if you don't learn history, chances are it will repeat itself. If you learn what's happened in history, you learn from the mistakes and stuff that have been made, you can fight it from happening again, or you can try to prevent it from happening again. But I do agree with what he said to some extent. If you quit talking about it, it's going to be as if it didn't even happen. And I don't think everybody should be forgotten. I don't think it should be... There's just a right way and a wrong way to approach certain things like that. But, back to what I was saying. I was talking to this doctor from the UK, and he said, I'm here for a medical convention. I need to go to such and such facility in Naperville, Illinois. So I picked him up in O'Hare, in Des Plaines, Illinois, drove him to Naperville, about a 35, 40-minute drive. And on the way here, I was talking to the doctor, and the doctor said, you know, how do you feel about your medical system? I said, I think it's shit. I think we have probably one of the worst medical systems in history. And he said, you do. And he said, from where I'm at, we have a one-payer system. And if somebody comes in abusing the medical system there, and they come in and they say, ouchie, I got a cut on my hand, that's going to cost us $1,000 immediately. We got to put them in a room. We got to have doctors in there. We got to have nurses in there. We got to have medication and stuff available. It's time that's ticking where we can be helping somebody else that has a serious injury. Automatically, we tack on $1,000 fine to that person's bill. Now you came in here because it was paid for, and now you're getting a bill. Do not abuse the system. You come in here for a headache, a small cut, a scrape, or something like that does not need medical attention, you are getting fined $1,000 for abusing the system. And he said it automatically stops them from abusing the system. And the people that get to come in and get treated are the people with serious injuries. They actually need help. They need the one-payer system. It's cut down on our emergency room visits. It's cut down on our doctor visits a lot. And now we're able to address the people that actually are hurt. There's a downfall to it, though. We're getting to see everybody. The one-payer system's working. People aren't abusing the system as much anymore. We've learned to nip that in the bud, but now what happens to quality control? If everybody's on a one-payer system, all facilities are getting paid the same way, where is the incentive to come out with better medication? Where is the incentive to come out with new studies? Where's the incentive to come out with a safer, not so many side effects dosage of this or that? Or there's none. There's no more incentive for that kind of stuff. There's no more extra money for those kinds of things. Now that we're on a one-payer system, companies are not trying to one-up the other. They're not trying to come out with a better, faster product to cure this or do that. So there's somewhat of a downfall to that. And now people can't pick the type of medical they get, where they might get a top-notch doctor from California that's had 40 years of the most advanced training, as opposed to fresh medical student that's only been out, 3 or 4 years, that's a new doctor. And you should pay extra money for that guy that's been constantly going through training, constantly getting better, constantly honing his skills, and as a top cardiologist in the entire world. But on a one-payer system, it doesn't happen that way. If that guy wants to keep his job, he's going to work for the same money everybody else does. There's going to be very little incentive for him to make more money. It's weird how all this stuff works when you start putting things into perspective. And that's not even the 100% way that the conversation went. That's the just of how the conversation went. And he even went as far as giving me a little bit more detail on... there's a new video of a UK med conference that talks about all of this. Right. I haven't seen that. This is just me and the UK doctor. I'd like to see that, though. He even went as far as telling me, this is how fucked up your country is, and this is how messed up you guys think, and how you screw your own people over. And he said, you'll probably never remember my name, so I don't even have a reason to think twice about saying this. Pfizer, one of your main medical supplier providers or whatever over there, will contact our company in the UK and say, I need so many thousand units of insulin, and I need so many thousand shipments or whatever, containers, I don't know how they do it, of metformin, and I need so many, thousands of units of prednisone or whatever, and I need it now. We'll make it. Say it costs them $22 million to have all this stuff made and shipped over. We'll ship it back over to you guys when you clearly have a company there in the United States that can make it and produce this product, but we make it at a quarter of what you guys make it for. I take that product, or our facilities take that product, ship it over to you, and then you turn around and sell it in the United States at the same product that you can make there for 3 to 4 times as much as we make it for over here. And then your insurance companies are involved. The people's co-pays and stuff are involved. All this money can be tracked, but they won't get into it. I can make your product over here in the UK for a third to a quarter of what you guys are buying it for over there, and have it sent over to you, and then you make buku bucks off of it. The people with the EpiPens, what it used to be, I don't know, $10, $15, $20 a pen, or something like that, and now they're trying to sell it for I don't know how many hundreds of dollars per shipment or something like that somebody would get. Insulin, 30, 40 bucks a dosage or something, or a prescription, now $500 to $700, depending on the situation. I'm just using numbers. So there's a big scam to this. Nobody talks about it. Nobody gets involved with it. And the people that do want to talk about it don't keep at it enough. So it doesn't, again, you don't talk about it, they're going to act like it doesn't even happen. Then once it gets so out of control, that's when somebody has to go down for it. Look at the guy with the EpiPen. They started, right, $300 a month after insurance paid their part. My father uses so much insulin and so much medication from his diabetes that by the time everything was said and done, before he got state insurance or a state job, he was paying an extra $900 a month. But now that he's got a state job and he works for a pension, I mean, I think he pays maybe like $300 a month for his insurance total for him and my mom, because it's a state job. I mean, it just goes to show you right there, once you get hooked in with the government, regardless if it's for low pay or not, the government perks and benefits start to step in. And the insurance companies, the pharmaceutical companies and stuff are all tied in with them. Why can't somebody from Jewel Osco or Play It Again Sports be or have that same insurance available? Because they don't work for the state. Because they're not cut in with the dirty unions and stuff like that that operate under that. My union cost for my medical, my welfare is what it's called, used to be $181. And this was just a year and a half, 2 years ago when I worked here. Now my union cost went up to $440 in less than 2 years. And that's for one single person. $200 every 2 weeks, plus $44 for union dues every 2 weeks. Everything's going up everywhere. Minimum wage went from 7-something to 8-something an hour, and now it's at $15 an hour. Companies were saying once things got to $15 an hour here, they were going to start looking into automated, and they are. There's more automated car washes that I've seen. Attendants don't even have to be there as much anymore. There's more of these automated systems all over the place. There's more banks popping up from Capital One that don't have even people that run the facilities that you can just walk up to it, and it's an ATM-based bank outside. You know, 3 kiosks on one side, 3 kiosks on the other side, 2 kiosks on one side. There's no people there. The stores, the grocery stores and stuff now are all starting to put the really long belt checkout lines with your self-checkout, so less and less employees are hired now. There's restaurants and fast food systems throughout the country that are starting to go to automated Wendy's, automated McDonald's, go up to a kiosk, order your meal, and there's one person that runs the facility. Now you don't have workers back there anymore. Companies were talking about that. Once minimum wage raised up that much, what they were going to do is they were starting to look into automated stuff. And that's what it is. It's just, it's a number of things that this could be. You guys want to talk about anything else while we're here? Before I get off here, I mean, I've been on here for an hour and 7 minutes. I'm sure you guys are tired of me rambling on. If there's anything else you want to talk about, just bring it up now and we'll keep going. But if not, I'm going to get off. What else should we talk about? Because nobody wants to debate a carnivore. Somebody play like a vegan and debate me right now or something. Please. Somebody. Meat is bad. Right, meat causes cancer, right? Which there is no study. And that's the thing too, is without getting on. Right. Is that why my lab panels are perfect? Oh wait, let me guess. That's anecdotal evidence. My perfect lab panels that are better than your vegan lab panels, I guess they don't matter because that's anecdotal evidence. I want to debate a vegan off anecdotal evidence only. Can you imagine the shitstorm that would cause if Vegan Gains or Durian Rider or Freely the Banana Freak or one of these other vegans, Skinny Vegan Rider? Can you imagine the shitstorm that would create if they debated somebody on an anecdotal basis? Do you know how much they would lose their ass? Do you know how many people I could get to come forward and get their results and their testimonies? I have a whole entire video on here, and the name of that video is I Want Your Story, with people just listing their stories underneath about how keto and carnivore has changed their life. How much would they lose their ass if they debated somebody off that? Yeah, right. And my teeth would fall out, and my nails, and my skin would get all puffy, and I would have tons of anemic responses. I would be cold all the time, psoriasis, eczema, all these other things I would have to deal with. I would rather stay fat and have good labs for the rest of my life and live a long, fruitful life than be a vegan. Bible. Bible. Yeah, could do that too. Be like Durian Ryder behind the scenes eating chicken and fish and eggs and cheese. I wonder if Durian's going to see that meme I created, because I tagged his name to that. That meme that I created where I put like vegans eat this on camera, vegans eat this off camera. This message is sponsored by Durian Ryder. And then I put in parentheses JK. I wonder if somebody's going to share that with him. I wish they would. I'd like to get him on here so I can talk to him. I want to, you know what I really want to see the most though? Is I want to see Vegan Gains debate Dr. Paul Saladino. I want to see Vegan Gains get on camera with Dr. Paul Saladino, Tristan, and Bobby's perspective all at the same time. And watch him get a quick 6-way. He'd be fucked up all kinds of 6 ways from Sunday. That would be awesome. I'd love that. Tristan wouldn't even have to say anything. He could just host it because he's good with that OBC, multiple people on at one time. Oh man, he would be mincemeat. But what I really want to see the most is I want to see Dr. Paul Saladino and Vegan Gains on camera together on Tristan's channel. I ain't worried about Frank. Frank is good at getting his programmed, rehearsed message out. Frank is good at that. I do enjoy Frank's messages when they come from him sitting down, looking up the science, looking up the studies, and writing it down. But to see Frank debate somebody makes my skin cringe. That was purely for views. That was purely for channel substance, you know, building the channel. I mean, I'm convinced that's what it was. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Oh, I want to, Dr. Paul Saladino has been getting around everywhere. I mean, he's been all over the place. I want to see Bart K deal with Vegan Gains the most, but I have not got to see that yet. I really enjoyed the professionalism of Bart K and Dr. Davis. I think it's Davis. Yeah, Garth Davis. I really enjoyed the back and forth, them bouncing ideas off each other. I really enjoyed the fact that Dr. Garth Davis was receptive to what Bart was saying and even made him kind of like, wow, I didn't think about it that way. I mean, Bart is the scientist. He has been doing this a long damn time. And if you kind of look, Dr. Garth was pretty chill. It was a very adult conversation. They actually looked back and forth at each other. Dr. Garth Davis said what he wanted to say. Bart said what he had to say. I was very impressed at the two chaps, the fact that they dealt with each other at the professional level that they did. It was a great conversation. I mean, Dr. Garth Davis said Bart even gave him some things to think about. I mean, obviously, there's something to think about here. If that could happen every single time there was a debate or a conversation, oh man, this would be amazing. But we got the rowdy Roddy Pipers that want to get on here and rip each other up, rip each other a new asshole, because that's what sells. That's what increases the content. That's what brings the viewers on. So I really enjoyed that. Even though I did make a video about him on my Keto Police channel that says the boys that play together stay together, if you know what I mean. And it had a picture of, I think, McDougal or McFartface or whatever his name is, Garth Davis, and then the other doctor, I don't know. And anyway, I put like a sex swing on it, and I put like a gag ball, and I put a tube of monkey butt cream, and at the end of it, I put a teddy bear with a heart that said, "Love you," and the video ended, and I thought it was pretty funny. A lot of people responded to it very well, especially in private. They said they loved that I should do more stuff like that. But some people would. Some of my older crowd that doesn't have a sense of humor like that might not like that too much. I've noticed whenever I've said a few extra curse words in a video or kind of been just open and been myself and kind of been a little perverted, you catch the Bible thumpers off guard and they're like, oh, I can't watch this channel anymore because he said the devil's words. I got to move on. Man, I got to move on. So they move on, and you lose 4 or 5 subscribers after a video like this. I'm sure I'll wake up in the morning, I'll probably lose a few more because I swore a couple times and talked about this, but it'll be all right. It's what happens every time I do a video where I'm like completely honest. I wake up and I'm like, man, 3 more people left. But if I'm a good boy and I say nice things the entire time, then they don't leave. You know, I'm a Christian. I believe in the Bible. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I just don't bring that up a lot because there was a time back in the day where somebody that doesn't follow my channel anymore I mean, he follows me, but he never comments. He had brought up to me, hey, I'm atheist, and I know at the end of your videos you say have a blessed day. You know, God bless you guys, whatever it is. I understand that's what you do and that's your thing, but I don't believe in that, and it makes me feel uncomfortable. So can you not do that in your videos anymore? Because I want to continue watching you, but because of what I believe in, I cannot support that. And I was like, dude, it's my message, man. It has nothing to do with how I finish my videos. Just listen to my message. If you don't like the ending part, that's cool, dude. Do what you do. But he was like, no, I really like you. I think that you're doing a lot for the community, but I don't like watching the end of your videos because of what you say. And I was like, what? Seriously? And he was like, yeah, I honestly, wholeheartedly believe, it just bothers me. Okay, dude, I mean, whatever, man. That's what floats your boat, and that's why you want to walk away. And or you get like the nice, really nice older ladies that used to comment all the time. And then you start making a little bit more controversial content, and then all of a sudden the commenting stops because, you know, it's against their religion, or they can't deal with the cursing sometimes, and they just quit following you because of that. And I'm like, man, we have really gotten involved in this really soft world where people just cannot speak their mind anymore. I'm thinking to myself, for God's sake, you don't want to go watch Bart then, because Bart will tell you exactly like it is. He don't hide nothing. So yeah, it's a completely different crowd. I'm trying to figure out what crowd I want to tailor to completely. The people that want to really hear my honesty, or being a nice little boy and cutting the swearing out completely so you don't lose anybody. It just, I don't know. Sometimes I struggle with that because I want to speak my mind. What else are we talking about? If you guys keep it coming, I'll keep talking. But if you don't, I'm going to jump off of here. We just went 17 minutes on that. What do you want to talk about now? Potassium deficiency. We could talk about that if you guys want to. I find that small people... Okay, I can check him out. I find that small people that don't eat a lot of meat, I'm talking that don't eat more than like 2 pounds of meat a day, 2 pounds or more, have this heart arrhythmia. They have this irregular heartbeat. And sometimes it's kind of excessive because they don't have enough potassium in their diet to help control it. Some of that's sodium as well. And there are a lot of people in the carnivore community that like to tell people that you don't need to supplement potassium, just water and meat. There's a guy on the carnivore diet recipe or something like that, and he wholeheartedly believes that all you need is water and meat. That's it. No, buddy. It's completely wrong. And he doesn't have anything to show me that backs that up. But I have plenty of information to show him that backs it up. I have people that come to my warning carnivore deficiency video and say, you are absolutely right. I went on a carnivore diet. I could not sustain high enough meat levels to keep my potassium levels up. It dropped substantially low. I ended up in the hospital, and this is, you know, weeks after going, maybe months after going carnivore and consistently under eating. And when they tested my labs, my potassium was super, super, super low, and they had to put me on potassium chloride, like basically liquid IV. And I ended up really sick. That's one thing too. This is weird. It'll show that it showed I had 9 likes on here, and then it dropped down to 6, and then it just showed 8, and now it's down to 7. I don't know if something's weird. It just keeps, it's like the amount of people that support the videos sometimes is just odd. That I have 300 people that watch the video, but 15 likes. You mean to tell me 300 people watched the video and 15 people were the only ones that liked it? And it's weird because I can see it just changed from 9 down to 8, and now it's down to 7. I don't know if I'm seeing stuff or not, dude. This stuff is weird. YouTube and Facebook have been doing some really weird stuff lately. Sometimes I really think that because of the controversial content, they try to help control exactly who sees your stuff and who doesn't. And with me talking about a lot of mainstream stuff lately that you would think people would want to hear about, I'm noticing that my videos are falling down. My videos are really decreasing with the amount of... You would think that the more subscribers I would get, the more controversial videos, but truthful videos would get more views. That's not the case. For some reason, I'm seeing the same amount of views on stuff that's not as important, and it's not as well put out, and I have more subscribers as somebody that talks about bras and shirts and pants and, oh, thank you for the gift you sent me, girl, with the earrings and stuff like that. And I click on their video, and they've got 350 views, and they've got 140 likes. I'm like, yeah, man, that's what I need. I need that right there so people can see my video. I need that. But when I look at my videos here that may be right on point, and a lot of people that have been following me for a long time say, dude, there's a great video, awesome. You were right to the point. You hit the nail on the head. Probably best video I've seen about this so far. I'd like to see some kind of follow-up result with that, with people consistently saying that, but then all of a sudden it just falls apart. No views, no thumbs ups, no nothing. It's like people just completely forgot about it. Yeah. Sometimes I think, you know, kind of in the back of my head, just walk away from it. Quit doing this type of social media. Go to a different platform that you may get better support, because YouTube is the quality is just kind of fell apart. It's getting more and more controlled, and I don't understand it anymore, honestly. Okay, I think we're gonna call it a night. There's nothing else that we are bringing up. I appreciate that, Frugal. I really do. You're one of my longest, best supporters so far, so I really do appreciate that. I'm gonna get off here. You guys have a great night, and thank y'all for sticking around as long as you have. Let's do this again. I enjoyed this. I enjoy just being able to let loose and just talk and just say something. I really appreciate you guys. I really do. You guys mean a lot to me. Thank you. I will